Hola muchachos, ¿qué tal? Buenos días. Aquí tienen el horario para hoy, viernes el 2 de septiembre. You guys didn't have any homework due for today's class. However, due by the end of today is your submission of your prueba de ortografía spelling test that we'll do today in class together. And to also submit your class description, your contribution to our class discussion about your classes. And you're going to describe one of your favorite classes, just as we did at the end of last class. Post it to Canvas, and then respond to the post of 3 classmates. We'll talk about that in greater detail. And then you also have for next class to prepare for your Chapter 1 exam. That'll be next class. Daily objectives for today are to be able to indicate what's permitted and prohibited in your classes at Liberty, to be able to analyze and synthesize class rules and procedures, and then to practice listening, comprehension, and recognition, not of present tense verb conjugations, but rather the sounds of the alphabet in Spanish. I'll have to change that. We're going to practice the alphabet from a couple weeks ago. All right, your warm-up, que se permite, que se prohíbe. We'll take a look at that in just a moment, how to go about that. We'll review the study guide for your Chapter 1 exam, which again is next class. Do a quick review of the alphabet. I know I was out for this particular lesson, so we'll go over it in greater detail together. Take that spelling test, and then I'll give you guys time in class to contribute to your class discussion. The last 3 things on the agenda we will leave for next week. All right, let's take a look at your warm-up for today. Create a T-chart. On the left side, put the expression se permite. On the right side, put the expression se prohíbe. Se permite meaning to allow or permit. It's cognate. Se prohíbe meaning to not allow or prohibit. Another cognate. So you have that T-chart created, and on each side, identify 3 things that are allowed, 3 things that are not allowed in the classroom. For example, se permite trabajar con mis amigos en clase. Se permite trabajar. You're allowed to work with your friends in class, to do pair work or group work. Se prohíbe hablar por teléfono en clase. You're not allowed to talk on the phone in class. So 3 expressions just like this for permite, and 3 expressions for se prohíbe, and you need to include a verb for each of your 3 things. So don't just put teléfono, put hablar por teléfono, or usar el teléfono, jugar con el teléfono, ver el teléfono. Put a verb in front of the different things that you feel are allowed or not allowed. And we don't need to rethink the wheel here, y'all. I want you to use Spanish 1 vocab that you're familiar with. Use the verb leer. Leer libros. Escribir. Dibujar. Pintar. Escuchar música. Tocar música. Estudiar. Jugar videojuegos. Pasar tiempo con amigos. Correr. Practicar deportes. Use all of that prior knowledge, those verbs, those activities that you're familiar with, and then lay them out in your T-chart. Again, 3 for se permite and 3 for se prohíbe. Your exam is next class. Study guide can be found right here. Download it and review it. Really quickly, we'll review together here what we talked about in class. So everything on the study guide here will be on the exam. The exam is on Wednesday, not Monday. Wednesday, September 7th, and Thursday, not Tuesday, Thursday, September 8th. The 3 parts to a verb, defining the term conjugate, and then the 3 characteristics of a cognate, can all be found in your notes that we took last week, that first day that I came back. From the Para Empezar module, you'll go down to this page here, That says Grammatica Repaso, present tense of regular verbs. The PowerPoint can be found right here. Guided video of how to conjugate verbs step by step can be found there, and then the song that we were practicing together, along with a few tips for how to memorize those present tense endings, can be found right there. Again, that was under modules. Under the Para Empezar module, about halfway down where it says Grammatica Repaso, present tense of regular verbs. And then also the conjugation charts as well. How to conjugate a regular AR verb, ER verb, and IR verb. And you can also find that information on page 9 of your Realidades textbook. Short answer section we just did together as our warm-up for the exam. You'll have to create a T-chart and indicate 3 things that are allowed, se permiten, 3 things that aren't allowed, se prohíbe, in general in your classes at Liberty. And again, remember to include verbs. Verbs in the infinitive, like comer, or dormir, dibujar, hablar, etc. The matching section is what we did together at the end of last class, where you'll be provided with the word bank of classes, el arte, el inglés, las matemáticas, la educación física, and then you'll have to match one of those classes with each description that's provided. It's going to describe the class in terms of the things that you do in that class, right? So verbs, the things that you bring to that class, calculadora, lápiz, cuaderno, libro, and then items or resources that you would find in that classroom. Activities, materials, resources. And based on those clues, you'll pick the class that best fits. Instead of doing either your A or B day schedule, remember we changed that to and. You're responsible, just as we did together in class, to lay out your full schedule, both A and B. You'll need to include these ordinal numbers that you took in your notes. Primera, segunda, tercera, cuarta, quinta, sexta, séptima, octava. That's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. You need to include those in the appropriate order to lay out your schedule in the form of a T-chart. That's your exam, y'all. Out of 40 points, you can see the format there. Essentially, it'll look very similar, if not identical in some cases, to your study guide. Study guide's not do it all. You'll see that there's no submit button for the study guide. It is just for your own edification. We're going to review the alphabet next. Practica con el alfabeto. Nope, not Practica con el alfabeto. Those were the games that we played. The top page there. We will watch the video of Elmo and Gina Rodriguez practice the sounds of the Spanish alphabet. You can look here for some guided pronunciation and a few other videos that you can watch to practice. You can run those games back too if you'd like to. After that, we're going to take your spelling quiz. This is practice. I'm going to have 10 words that I'm going to spell out to you letter by letter as those letters are pronounced in Spanish. And the category of the 10 words is descriptive adjectives like inteligente, tímido, grande, creativa, etc. All descriptive adjectives describing personality or appearance. And then you guys are going to spell out in all lowercase letters, letter by letter, what that word is, right? Spelling it out letter by letter, what that adjective is that I'm spelling. You can click here to listen to the list of words. Don't worry about accents, and don't worry about case. Everything should be lowercase. All right, and then the last thing that we have for today is the class discussion. ¿Qué clase es? Everything else here in the agenda we will not get to today. For the class discussion, you guys are to choose one of your favorite classes, just like how we did in class together, and write a complete description of that class. Do not include the class name in your description because the whole idea is to see if your classmates can guess the class that you're describing. This is to practice for what will be on your exam. So in your description, and you're going to post this to Canvas under Reply, you're going to describe your class by providing 2 activities. What are 2 things that you have to do in that class? Leer, cantar, escribir, hablar con amigos, dibujar, pintar, correr, practicar deportes. You're going to use this first sentence as a model to start off. En esta clase hay que, in this class I have to, or I need to, hay que. And then after hay que, put those 2 verbs. En esta clase hay que correr y practicar deportes. 3 materials that you have to bring to that class with you. Start off by saying, en esta clase hay que llevar, and then list 3 class materials. Una calculadora, un lápiz, un cuaderno. And then finally, en esta clase hay, in this class there is or there are, and then list 3 resources typically found in that class. Now, for vocabulary, if you're a little shaky on some of the vocabulary that we would use to talk about our classes, you can go to the Capítulo 1A module. You have a link to Quizlet, so you can practice some of those flashcards for classroom materials, your classes, and then class resources. That was here. And then you have a few curated videos that walk you through items found in the classroom and that you would bring with you, and then the subjects themselves, and then a bunch of examples of descriptions that we did together in class. All right, so you're going to post that description just like this. Again, do not include the class. We're going to see if other people can guess, and you yourself are going to respond to 3 classmates' descriptions, guess which class they've described, and then provide 2 context clues, 2 words from their description that helped you make that guess. All right, and that's due by the end of today. We're going to start that in class. Whatever you don't finish is you're responsible for by the end of the day. And again, don't forget to study for your Chapter 1 exam. Have a great 3-day weekend, y'all. Nos vemos en clase. Ciao.